You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
Well, hello. This is Michael Lodge. Glad that you are with me. Do you have your cup of coffee? Listen, I have a really cool coffee cup. And the coffee cup says this on the side. It says, "My brain has too many tabs open." So if I goof up in this podcast today and my words become mumbled, it's because I've got too many tabs open and I'm thinking about too many different things. That's my excuse. I'm going with it. I'm living with it. You live with it too, okay? Listen, we have a new president taking his oath of office today. I don't know where you stand politically, but I'll be very honest with you on my point of view. I don't like it. I don't like it, but I respect the office of the President of the United States, and I will respect Joe Biden as he takes his oath of office. I won't be watching it because I've got work to do. I got other things to do. But we have a new president. I will respect him until he oversteps his bounds. Because you see, even though we have a new president, we still have a whole bunch of same old problems. Because nothing ever gets fixed. We still have the problem of very liberal socialist ideas for the nation. I don't support that. We have the ideals of this new president where he wants to raise the taxes on the very rich. Listen, and when Democrats say rich, they mean you and me too. We have a very strong military at the moment, and I'm afraid that he's going to weaken the military. And we have we have had a very good economic up and then down and then up again economy. And I believe that we are going to head to a different type of economy where we're going to have to be very conservative Americans with our money. And then the other issue that I feel very strongly about, and I've been talking about for so long, is the ethics. The ethics of this president and the ethics of tech media trying to censor American voices. And the attack on the Constitution. So those are the things that I still see as our fight. If you're a conservative, those are still our fight, and we still have to fight it. It doesn't mean that we have to call the president names, and which I might slip up every once in a while. Okay, so I'll say I'm sorry for the next 4 years. Okay, but this nation is at a different place. We used to be on a really good road, and then all of a sudden we've veered off a ramp where we're not quite sure where it's going to take us. And businesses don't know what's going to hit them. We just don't know because we have no idea what Biden's economic plan is. So I think we're going to see a pause. We're going to see a pause in buying. We're going to see a pause in hiring people. I think the next unemployment numbers are going to be very significant. And I think that we're going to have to watch that very, very carefully. Because once you start talking about higher taxes and everything else, companies begin moving their operations offshore. It's already begun. Companies are moving their assets and cash offshore because they know, they're certain that taxes are going to rise. So we still have a fight. And it's going to have to be a fight that we play very calculated. No more of this yelling and screaming and stomping our feet. No, we have to play it better. We have to know our facts, and we have to know what we're talking about. No more spin. Spin does not do anything. We have to know what we're talking about. Those people with experience in business have got to speak up. Those people who are being affected by censorship have got to speak up. So far, we have heard nothing from the Republicans on censorship. Nothing. Mitch McConnell is playing games at the moment in the Senate on impeachment of President Trump. So the games continue. We have really, as Americans, we have really built ourselves a government that is very corrupt. Politicians are no longer ethical. It's no longer an ethical profession. And those that enter into politics, you have to be speculative of what they are doing. What is their political agenda? So we still have that fight going on too. Remember, we've got 2022 where we need to replace a whole bunch of Congress people in Congress and in the Senate. So we've got that election coming up, and that should be our focus. If you are a conservative, and if you're concerned about America, focus on the next coming election in 2022 and who is going to represent you in Congress. I feel that it's very important that to have a balanced government, that we've got to have the Republicans take over the Congress and the Senate. There's got to be a balance there. Right now, we have a full house. Democrats own everything. And that's a very dangerous situation to be in. Because we don't have the ability of opposing thought to be able to speak out. And we're already seeing it right now in the current legislative season of Congress, where the Speaker of the House is trying to silence the other side. Now, in politics, I know that this happens all the time, where the other side is always trying to have more power than the other side. And no one is sitting down across the table and working things out. They're just not doing it. I'm almost tempted to say to the Democratic leader of the House and the Democratic leader of the Senate, listen, I'm a mediator. Let me mediate this stuff. But you just cannot be pushing bills through the House and Senate that are not workable for the American people. And I'm truly afraid that that is what's going to happen, especially when it comes to banking and the economic stuff and also energy. I feel that they are truly going to damage that, because right now we're independent, and energy-wise we're independent. But the president-elect has already said that he is going to stop certain things. He is going through a executive order to stop a lot of the things that pumped up the economy. The other issue that I'm concerned about is this COVID. How are they going to use it politically? Because it's no longer about healthcare. It's not. This is about how they're going to use it politically, how they're going to shut down communities, how they're going to silence Americans again, how they're going to shut down churches. I tell you, freedom of religion has been attacked so much by politicians and bureaucrats of here in America. More so than any other time in the history of this nation. I'm concerned about that. And I will fight to make sure that our religious liberty is intact. And every American should. Every American should be fighting tech on censorship. And businesses who are using politics to justify their business decisions are not viable companies anymore. These are companies that have been corrupted by politics. Yesterday we saw 3 companies attack MyPillow.com, whose owner is a conservative, an ex-drug addict, has a great story to tell on his rehabilitation into life, and yet people want to shut him down. So when you see other businesses attack other businesses based on politics, then we are no longer talking about viable businesses who are investment worthy. We're just not. Because these companies and their leaders are very dangerous and very corrupt and very unethical. And I think that over the next 4 years, we need to talk about within our companies, within our churches, within our schools, within our hospitals, within every entity in the United States, we need to talk about ethics. Because ethics is the foundation of any business to do things that is right within our communities. We are Americans, and we have this view and love of nation that I don't think any other country has out there. We have to join together, and we have to build things together, because we can no longer depend upon government to do the right thing, because they are so politically corrupt and power-driven that they have forgotten about the voice of the American people. That's why Liz Cheney has been sanctioned by her own state, because she did not listen to the voice of her state's people. She went with the elite political view instead of listening to the voice of the people that she represents. So the state sanctioned her because she chose a political route instead of the voice of the people that she represents. And when we are seeing that more and more and more in the Democratic side and the Republican side, where party is more important, or political agenda is more important than listening to the people that they represent. I worry about that greatly, and so should every American. That's why we have to hold these politicians accountable. We have to challenge them on their ideas. And we have to think about who we're going to do business with and who we are going to be a consumer of. And look at the companies who are being political and making political business decisions instead of real business decisions. I will not do business with those kind of companies anymore. I just won't. When businesses begin to attack other businesses based on political agenda, you've got a corrupt nation. You've got unethical business leaders. And we need to hold them accountable for those types of decisions. Investors need to hold them accountable for those types of decisions. Once you begin to attack your consumer based upon your political views, you're no longer a viable company. You no longer have ethics within your company. So we as Americans have got to talk about ethics more, and we need to hold individuals accountable for what they do, what they say, and how they act. I worry about that a lot. Over the last few days, I have talked a tremendous amount on censorship. I have posted in social media talking about censorship. Censorship is a very unethical act. Why? Because you are trying to blacklist another individual, another company, another view, another thought. It's it's highly unethical. And we as Americans, we have got to think about ethics so much over the next 4 years and hold people accountable. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. We need to hold them all accountable because whatever they decide on in Washington, D.C., it affects you, it affects me. It affects our financials and our pocketbook. And it affects our communities. So I have a lot of things that I'm concerned about under this new president. So I've told you my concerns. Now let me tell you also that I'm very thankful for the work that Donald Trump and his family and his administration have done. It was a daily fight for that White House. Because everybody in the sky heaven came out and attacked that White House and that president. And the president fought back. And he was condemned for fighting back. But if you look at his accomplishments, they are so great. They are so many. More accomplishments than any other president in the history of the United States. Now you see, I measure people on accomplishments. Politicians don't really accomplish anything. They just move bucks around. They write tricky legislation. They impose higher taxes. They impose worse health care issues in the nation. So politicians don't play with the view of how it's going to help Americans. They view it as how it's going to help their political and their power-based career. That's all that they think about. So Trump went in and he accomplished a lot of different things, and he improved an economy, and he also addressed the COVID issue and got medication turned around very quickly and supplies very quickly. He responded to each of the governor's requests. No governor was sitting there without a request that was not answered. Every single one was responded to. So you see, I measure people upon accomplishments. I don't measure people upon words, because words just fade. But accomplishments get things done. They keep their promises. And so I commend Mr. Trump and President Trump and his whole family, who really worked hard at trying to improve a country that needed help from a corrupt political system. If we had a good political system at the moment, we would not have 25,000 National Guard behind fences guarding the United States Capitol. You see, guilt of a politician says I had better have protection. He'll condemn that protection throughout his political career. Tear down the police, tear down the military. But when he needs it to protect himself from his corrupt activities, he'll move them in. So, Mr. Trump, I'm looking forward to you coming back to Palm Beach. This is your home. We welcome you here. We're glad you're a resident of Palm Beach. And we're glad that your family is moving to Florida too. It's really heartening to see the president going to land here and make this his permanent home. It's very nice. And he's doing it where he's lucky because he's doing it on a nice cool day. I'm looking outside and it's nice and cool. Let me check the temperature at the moment. The temperature at the moment, let me go to my cell phone here. The temperature at the moment is well, at the moment it's 61 degrees and it should get up into the 70s today. So he will have a nice day to bring Air Force One in blue skies, and land his plane and go home. And rest a little bit because he has more work to do. You know the Trumps, they don't sit around. They keep on working. Even if they're sick, they keep on working. So welcome home, and you did a good job, and I thank you for it. So, us Americans, we have got to get back on track. We still have a fight to do. We have a new president, but we have the same old fight. And we have to have that energy to do it with. I love America, don't you? Gosh, I wake up sometimes in the morning and, because listen, I have traveled this world and I have been in third world countries and I have seen the poverty, I have seen the destruction of politics, and I have seen the dirtiness and the corruption of third world nations' governments. I have experienced it. I have been shot at. I have been attacked. I have almost lost my life because of being in these third world countries. And so I look at America and I say, gosh, I can wake up this morning and really not have to worry about what's going to happen, because this is a safe nation. It's a good nation. It's a law-abiding nation. It's a God-fearing nation. I think it's a good idea for every American. Get a passport, and the first trip that you should do is go to a third world nation. See what goes on. See how your travel restrictions are. See how people are watching you and following you. See how you have to be so very careful about what you say politically, because they can come after you. And let me tell you, when they come after you, it is not a pretty situation, because it can become violent. I have known so many people who have been shot dead. Shot dead for what they've said. So I wake up every morning and I'm very thankful of where I live. And even though we may have a good president or a bad president in place, we are still God-fearing Americans, and we work together. Now, we've fallen apart over the last few years, but we can come back together. But we're not going to do it through politics. Forget about politics. Politics never brings anybody together. It always divides people. It attacks people. It hates people. That's a worthless cause. If you think that you can change your community through politics, you are naive. Because politics never changes anything. Politicians never change anything. It's up to you and it's up to me to make changes where we see it and where we need it in our own communities, our own neighborhoods, our own schools, our own churches. It's up to us. So even though we have a new president, we, you and me, you and I and you, all of us, have work to be done. So let's get up. Let's put on our grown-up pants. Let's go into the office and let's work. And let's focus on what we need to do. Start talking to your friends on what you think can be done in your communities. Start seeing what you can do on building new businesses and creating jobs. Don't let a corrupt government get you down, because you're the one that's in charge of your own destiny, of your own life, your own footprints that you're going to follow, that you're going to create. You're in charge. But you need to sit down with your community and say, listen, I have an idea. I see a need, and list the need. And then try to find out where you can find the resources to get help to fulfill that need. Those of you who are having problems within your neighborhoods and you need help and you need a mediator to come in, just let me know. I'll come in. I'll help you out. America is so important to me, and your community is so important to me. Listen, I'll do some stuff for free here, because mediation has a possibility of resolving issues within your communities. I'm here. There are other people out there too that are doing exactly the same as I am doing, and they're there to help you too. Just call on them. Knock on their door. Call on them. Sometimes we have to volunteer our services in order to get things done, and some of us have to volunteer a lot of hours to try to get things done, but we can do it and we can make changes. Forget about the politicians because they're worthless at the moment. But the value of this nation comes from you and it comes from me. The value comes from us deciding to work together on trying to make a difference. That comes from you, that comes from me. Those of us that have professional careers and have expertise should get more involved in trying to provide services to the local community and trying to help them out. Those of you that have the money power to help out, do. But don't give to politicians. Don't give to national organizations. Give to your local community programs that need help, that are not tied to politics, that are not tied to politicians. Forget that. Put the money where it's needed. Put your time where it's needed. Put your experience where it's needed. So, today we have a new president, but we have the same old stuff that we need to fight for. But we're going to do it together. And we're going to have a lot of accomplishments because we know when we work hard at some things can get done so very quickly and so very wisely. And we put our value back into our communities. No matter what you do. Even if you shine shoes for a living, you have some experience that you can teach other people on how to deal with people because you're dealing with them every day. You're listening to their stories. And those of you who have a story to tell, please tell it. I want to be inspired. Become good storytellers. Write it down. Blog it. Vlog it. Podcast it. Whatever you can do to tell your story. If you want to tell me your story, I will listen and I will tell you a story for you. If you're shy. But let's tell our story. Let's tell our story over and over again so that people know that there is hope out there, that there's possibilities, that there's a way to accomplish things together and not continually fight and hate each other. You and I are Americans. You and I are neighbors. We're brothers and sisters. Uncles and aunts, grandparents, grandfathers, grandmothers. But we're all friends. We're all Americans. And we are going to make change. That's the way Americans do it. So today we stand up, we wake up, we have a new president. We have a president that's coming into Palm Beach. I welcome him with my open arms. And I tell all the American people I'm so thankful for each and every single one of you. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Timbuktu native. I don't care. But I love you. And I love everything about you. Even if you have an opposing view, I still love you. I'm still going to accept you. But you and I, even though we have opposing views, we're going to sit down at the table and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to resolve it. Because that's how we do it. That's how we roll. Listen, if you have a question or comment, send me a text at 818-252-5682. Again, that's 818-252-5682. If you have a lot to say, send me an email at info@lodge-co.com. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye. This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.